Scotty Schultz, my camp commandant, and then Aziz. It's our lead in the line. It's our lead interpreter, Pardis.
Nice to see you.
Identified, I got an ID of the large flag, and then destroy that. Secretary, this is Fingerprint Miller.
Very good, sir. We were just going through compound search review. Go ahead, gentlemen. Go ahead, start. Mustafa, sir. Saddam Hussein. Garrett. And Naeem Abdullah. Copy that. Very good. If you want. Afghan soldiers always best in Iraq, I would have just walked down to it, but in Afghanistan, unfortunately. Am I on your way?
No, you're good, Master. Thank you.
Yes! Yes! Okay, so thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Secretary, we were going to commit to have a very good fill rate on the Afghan man. We essentially told them that if they give us those instructors for at least a year, we're going to provide them better product to increase their literacy.
Secretary of the Navy Ray Mabus toured the Joint Sustainment Academy Southwest at Camp Leatherneck Tuesday. The academy is the primary site for advanced combat training for Afghan security forces in Helmand Province. During his visit, Secretary Mabus spoke with academy leaders and instructors and got a glimpse of the future of Afghan security.
As we draw down our combat capabilities, they're going to be there in place with the skills, with the training, ready to do what they need to do to keep a stable Afghanistan.
During his visit of Helmand Province, the Secretary also met with Marines and sailors at Camp Leatherneck and other bases. He said he's impressed by the efforts of the sea services in the fight in Helmand Province.
The security situation is stabilized everywhere Marines are, everywhere that Marines and their Navy brothers and sisters are, and the fact that we're able to do this, the fact that our Marines are able to have this sort of success, just speaks volumes.
More than 1,200 Afghan National Security Forces have been trained at Camp Leatherneck since February, where they've learned everything from literacy to explosive device detection. Reporting from Camp Leatherneck, Helmand Province, I'm Staff Sergeant Jeremy Ross.
We came out here for a couple of reasons. Number one, most important, is looking in the eye, trying to see every Marine we've got out here. We're not going to do that. We move around pretty quickly over about a 3-day period of time to try to see as many of our Marines and sailors as we can. But it's to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being Marines. Thank you for being sailors, being docks, corpsmen, RPs. Thank you for serving out here, serving your nation. I got one thing I want to tell you. 11 days ago, I stood at the Pentagon on a Sunday when we did the Pentagon Memorial 10 years of 9/11. And I remind my family and those that are around me that my office was destroyed the day that that airplane hit the building. And I'd moved into it about a month and a half prior, and I never got back into it again. So when we sat out there on that crisp Sunday morning with about 2,000 folks, it was happening up in New York City at Ground Zero. It was happening in the countryside at Shanksville, Pennsylvania. And I reminded that as I sat there and I looked around that audience and I describe it as my nerves got raw again, all over again. I remembered exactly what it was like. I remembered how I felt. I remember how I felt the week after, the month after, the 6 months after that happened. And that's why you're here. All that planning for that effort that took place that horrific day took place about 100 miles east of here. The folks that gathered put their minds together and said, let's attack the United States. Let's take their way of life from them. Let's steal what they consider to be goodness because we don't think it's goodness at all. We're going to destroy their society. That was planned 100 miles east of here. And that's why you're here 10 years later. The last thing I'll tell you is that the efforts that have taken place, the Marines whose shoulders you stand on here at Dwyer, and those Marines who went before them and the ones that went before them, because we stand, every deployment, we stand on the shoulders of those that have gone before, have turned the Central Helmand Valley into a success story. Doesn't mean there's not issues, doesn't mean there's not challenges in action in Afghanistan as of this morning. But it does mean that if there's a glimmer of hope for this country, that's what's taken place for a Marine sergeant was something that I'd never been a part of before in my life. So it was tremendous. So I want to thank you for all that you do. Think about the questions you may want to ask, and we'll stand here and we'll answer questions till the cows come home, okay? But God bless you, and thank you for being Marines and sailors. That sense of urgency that you had when you walked into that recruiter's office, because I haven't. And for having the courage to ask the first question, and a tough one too, by the way. Thank you very much, son. Good question there, Corporal Thomas. Ambulances over here, and now former commandant's going into logistics. And that's what we bring to combat commanders. That's what we do. Good question. What else? Come on up. You need to know that my position as one of the members of the Joint Chiefs is we need to grandfather. Whatever comes out, it needs to be vetted through the services, the military services. We need to not break the all-volunteer force.
Marine A. He was excited that he had qualified again. No Navy achievements, no Navy comms, nothing from his deployments. Then there was Marine B that I met. And he know that when this thing started, we started getting it in about a year ago when I was here. And
Camp Leatherneck, they'll have their check-in sheets, kind of like they did their usually, check-in with Postal, check-in with them.
The Marine Corps cannot be in any better hands. Every single thing, the Commandant tells this story. I've heard this story a couple times where he leaves at night, he drives by the Capitol, and the lights are on at the Capitol. Our elected officials are up there working hard for us, and they're trying to make America right. But I can tell you, when I leave the Pentagon, the Commandant's lights are still on. He's fighting every single day. Mrs. Amos is fighting every single day for the families, whether it is an issue that deals with budgetary challenges, whether the Commandant's working towards modernizing the Marine Corps for the future, the Joint Strike Fighter or Ground Combat Vehicle Strategy, just everything. Whether putting Montford Point Marines where they belong in our history books, just taking care of Marines in general. The Corps is in great hands, and I want you all to know that right up front. I get to watch it from the inside, and it is spectacular. And I am absolutely privileged to be able to stand here and serve you in this capacity, and I'm privileged to be able to stand here amongst you, and I'm privileged to wear the same uniform as you. We get to watch every single day. We get to read. We get to hear about all the positive things, the positive impact you have on this critical mission. I just came here today, and I want to tell you, thank you for your selflessness, your sacrifices, your endurance, and your courage. The Commandant's got your back. I got your six. Continue to do great deeds. Continue to do brave deeds and endure. God bless every one of you, and I think we're going to open it up for questions.
God bless you. Thank you very much. How are you? What's your MOS?
Okay, Corporal Walters, how are you doing, sir? Good, sir. Nice to meet you. Max 2. Nice to meet you. How long have you been around?
You know, we get an opportunity to brag about the Marines and what's happening in Helmand often. And we do it in Congress, we do it in front of the press, we do it in front of people across our country. And people invariably ask, how are they doing? And it's not a matter of winning or losing, it's a function of we're doing well. We've got every reason to be optimistic about what's happening in Helmand. What goodness could come out of this? Go down to the Helmand province and go visit the Marines and sailors down in Helmand. Go visit the Georgian battalions, go visit the UK Army and the Royal Marines. Go visit the Danes. Come down and visit us. Because if there's ever an opportunity to take a look at what it could be, it's Helmand. It's not been without sacrifice. 308 Marines have been killed in action as of this morning. Well over 3,000 wounded. And they thought we would cower and they thought we would run. And you remember what happened. Within 30 days, Task Force 58, 5,000 Marines from 2 Marine Expeditionary Units, flew 450 miles into Afghanistan and landed out here at Kandahar. They landed at Rhino, halfway between Kandahar and Lashkar-Gah, out in the middle of a desert. And they established the first foothold in this country and started the initial attacks, counterattacks. And that began 10 years ago. 11 days ago, I was at the Pentagon and we did the memorial. It was a Sunday. It was at 9:27, and there were thousands of us out there, sitting outside. I'm dressed up in my blue whites, and I'm there along with a whole slug of other people who well remember what it was like that Tuesday morning when the airplane hit the building. My office was destroyed. I never got back into it again. I remember it to this day. And I remember looking at the TV and looking at the Twin Towers and seeing what was going on up there when you finally figured out what really happened. Then all of a sudden you hear about the struggle over Pennsylvania and the airplane that goes down because the great Americans on that airplane fought. You've basically severed all those rat lines, all those lines of communication, folks coming north and south from Pakistan and into Helmand. You've done that. I want to thank you for it. I'm proud of you. You know, last Thursday, today, a week ago today, Sergeant Major Barrett and I stood in the White House with the President when he pinned the Medal of Honor around the neck of Sergeant Dakota Meyer. And I'll tell you what, it was. I knew it was going to be. I knew it was going to be a great event, but I wasn't prepared for just the sheer emotion that I think that all of us felt when the President talked about what Dakota Meyer did and how he described the actions of that day on that autumn morning and that fight that lasted 6 hours. And I got to tell you what. There wasn't a dry eye in the entire place. I've been a Marine for 4 decades, 40 years, and I've never been to a living Medal of Honor induction ceremony for a United States Marine. Never. And it's probably the only chance I'll ever get. And when Jim Miklaszewski from NBC News interviewed him, went out to his home in Kentucky and interviewed Dakota. In that whole interview, and it aired about 2 weeks ago, he said, when you went back in the 5th time, were you afraid that you might die? You might get killed? And this is going to go down as one of those great comments, like those ones that come out of World War II and World War I, retreat hell, we just got here. Come on, you sons of bitches, do you want to live forever? Dakota Meyer looked at Jim Miklaszewski and he says, no, it wasn't a matter of I was afraid I might die. I knew I was going to die. Now you think about that. He didn't say it with bravado. There was no bullshito in there. He just looked him in the eye and he just said, I knew I was going to die. But I was going to die going after my brothers. And I got to tell you what, that story was told by the President. And you talk about taking your breath away in the White House. I get to brag about you all the time. I get to tell people about why we're different, why we were able to live in LAVs out in the desert and not have a shower for 3 or 4 weeks or 2 months, eat MREs, and be happy with one another, and how we were willing to give our lives for one another. That's what you do, and that's the spirit that makes us different. So I'm just damn proud to be your commandant. It's good to see you again.
Hey, it's been 102 days since the commandant gave me the sword to the office, and I said farewell to my lifelong friend of 30 years, Carlton W. Kent, who, by the way, he and I talk pretty much every other day. He just won't let it go, and I don't blame him. And but I was right where you were, and I was on the outside and I was looking in. And now I'm inside the Pentagon and I'm on the inside and I'm seeing how things happen. What I'm basically telling you is the Corps is in great hands. What I'm telling you is he takes care of Marines. Mrs. Amos takes care of Marines. If there's a Marine in distress, if there's a wounded Marine laying on their back, the Commandant's there for him. Mrs. Amos is there for the family. The Commandant has got your back. He's got your six. You don't have to worry about anything except the mission at hand and fighting this fight. We are wowed every single day. I'm privileged to stand amongst you. I'm privileged to wear the same uniform as you. You all had a choice. You could have done anything you wanted in your whole life. A lot of you joined after 9/11. And you chose to serve. The most honorable and noble profession on the planet, to serve your nation, to serve a flag, to serve an idea, to protect and serve free people living in a free society who get to come and go as they please. I'm absolutely blown away and wowed. Thank you for your selflessness, your sacrifices, your endurance, and your courage. Continue to do great deeds. Continue to do brave deeds and continue to endure. God bless every single one of you, always faithful. And sir, I think you want to open it up for questions?
Most of her chaplains here with the Marines. So Margaret, it's good to have you here. I got to see the 3rd Marines, stole him away. I got all kinds of luminaries. We got your boss, General Tulin, here. We got your boss, General Craparata, here. So we got all kinds of folks. How about some questions? Thanks for being who you are. Remember who you are. Remember what makes you different. We truly brag about you every single day. And we are a different force. We're cut differently. We're cut out of different cloth. And we have that unique mission for our country to be its crisis response force. And we are, and we do a damn good job of it. So think about how good the Anbar province turned out in Iraq. That's what's going to happen in Helmand province. One day we're going to look back 3 or 4 years from now, and people are going to go, when was the last time anybody heard anything about Marja or Sangin? Or how about the Fish-Hook? How about all the way down to the castle? What about Nawa, Lashkargah? They're going to go, I can't remember the last time I saw anything like that in the press. That's where you are in history. So remember that. God bless every one of you, and we'll see you at Thanksgiving. Save us a turkey leg. Hoorah! Sergeant Mamarelli. I knew a Mamarelli. Marine? Lieutenant Colonel? Maybe a long time.
Afghan National Security Forces and local political leaders held their Community of Interest Conference September 13th at Camp Shorbak, Helmand Province. The high-level meeting gave Afghan and coalition leaders in the province a chance to meet face-to-face and discuss the way ahead.
Well, the goal is to basically allow the Afghans to see how good they are, and they've done a tremendous job over this last year in particular. They've taken the fight to the enemy, they've stood up, they've beaten the Taliban. It's a good news story.
The conference featured several speakers, including Major General John Tulin, Commanding General for Regional Command Southwest, and Major General Michael Kraus, Deputy Chief of Staff Plans at Headquarters ISAF Joint Command. The meeting also featured several slideshows to help express to Afghan political leaders how the country is progressing, and how control is slated to be given to ANSF forces from the U.S. military forces in 2014. Conferences like these help leaders from both parties plan long-term strategies that work for both the Afghan government and coalition forces.
One of the things that we've understood from these discussions is their logistics system has not matured at an acceptable rate, so we'll need to leave more logistics advisors behind to help them mature that process over the course of the next 3 years and perhaps even beyond 2014. We wouldn't have gotten that kind of an understanding without a forum like the Community of Interest.
The meetings, which are currently led by coalition forces, are scheduled to be Afghan-led in the future, to further their control over the growth and direction of Afghanistan. Reporting from Camp Leatherneck, I'm Corporal Daniel.
Translation, critical to this event. When we go from English into Dari, it will be simultaneous over the headsets. To get out of the wire.
تاسو ته په دې تالار کې خراغلاست وایو د اول دغه خپله جلسه
respective guests, welcome to 215 Core Hall. And in this time of our planning, we would like to start our meeting by reciting of Holy Quran.
نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير لا تكونوا كالذين نسوا الله
Thank you very much from the Qari.
په هغه موضوعګانو باندې کومې چې ضروري دي او لاس په ګریوان یو هغوی ته به تدابیر نیسو نو هغه کنډکونه چې نور په نظر کې دي هغه
Ensure back, and I say welcome to everybody to 215 Core.
Today's event has several parts. The first, in a moment, opening remarks that they would like to make. And then as we discussion, we'll open it up to Major General Kraus from IJC, who will give a presentation on the view from Kabul, and then we will move into our first vignette. Southwest staff and these major subordinate commands explaining many of the initiatives that we between the police and the Army. Everyone at this point has received their safety brief.
Security forces are actually way better than the other forces because they know how to.
Is that we're here for a purpose, and that now things are changing in many ways. As many of you know, we're in the process of a drawdown of forces starting this year, and it's going to be pretty significant over the next 12 months.
Square is 10 kilometers, and the legend. International borders. And north, we have RC Regional Command West. To the east, beg your pardon. To the west. As we all know, it is split into two provinces, Helmand and Nimrud. As per the map, to point out a few, Mutakala, Nawzad, Washir, Dalaran, Shorab, Lashkar, 2 Kandak, 4 combat support Kandak, and 5 combat service support.
کاشکې موږ په هر داسې مجلس کې هغه څه چې پخوا مجلسو کې په خپل پښتانه چې اوسه پورې هغه څه باید موږ د یو کال په جریان کې او راتلونکي 1490 آیا انتقال په همدې رقم باندې کېږي چې وزارت ته وایي مثلا نور مسؤل ته وایي
Officers of the intel forces that they have to be ready in the future and
Can I get your full name and rank?
H13, Desmond Williams.
DES.
M-O-N-D. M-O-N-D. Williams.
And job title?
As far as out here, or
yeah, like
hospital.
Yeah, just hospital.
Corpsman.
And you work for which command?
Second MEF, 2 MEF surgeon's office.
Second, what was it?
Surgeon.
Surgeon. Okay, and your hometown?
Hampton, Virginia.
Hampton, you said?
Yes.
Okay. What does the Navy's birthday mean to you?
The Navy birthday means to me is basically it's our 236th birthday. We're going stronger, and I see so many different varieties of people, sailors, shipmates coming to the Navy. It's improving more and more each day from the first time I came in, from when I studied history, and then back when I first studied the Navy before I came in. To me, it means it's just a big community of us progressing more and more each year.
How does it feel to be deployed in Afghanistan for the birthday?
It feels different because normally my last few years in, we've had a big celebration, big Navy ball, but being deployed here, we took that to a whole new level. We still, even though we're in a combat zone, we went out and we gathered many of our shipmates together and still celebrated, and we still gonna celebrate it. Celebrated the Navy birthday today. First off, we started with a 5K run this morning, about 3 miles, where our coalition forces alongside of our shipmates, we ran. And then at about 9 o'clock this morning, we had a ceremony where we commemorated the 236th birthday of the Navy with the reading of the MAPON's happy birthday message, the CNOs, and the Camp Commandant Marine Corps. Then follow on later on this afternoon, we're going to be doing a sporting events and a cookout.
How long have you been in the Navy?
I've been in for 4.5 years.
And how has your time in the Navy been?
It's been good. I've met different people, seen different cultures, seen different places. My short time in. This is my first deployment in Afghanistan. Prior deployment was to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. And I've seen different, and I plan on making this a career.
And why did you initially want to join the Navy?
I initially wanted to join the Navy is when I just did my research. The Navy had a lot to offer. I wanted to do medical field, and I heard Navy was the best in having a medical field, so I want to progress in that.
Is there anything you would say to the people back home about your deployment? Yeah.
The deployment is going good. We are making very good progress. I miss the family. We come home soon. Happy birthday, shipmates.
Can I get your name, rank, and job title?
Command Master Chief Johnson, Command Master Chief RC Southwest.
You just look at me like...
Check. I'll do it.
Okay, what does the Navy birthday mean for you?
Navy birthday to me is a time to reflect on all those that have gone before us, and especially those singers that we have lost here in our AO in Afghanistan and throughout all of Afghanistan. It's a time for me to reflect and think about those guys and their families, what they're enduring back in the United States.
What are we doing on Camp Leatherneck to celebrate it?
Today we kicked it off first thing this morning. We had a middle 5K fun run. 0900 this morning we will have a Navy celebration. We will have a ceremony, cut a cake, the tradition of the United States Navy that we carry every year across the United States Navy. We will do that across the whole AO at the smallest COP, smallest FOB. There will be singers celebrating today.
And where is hometown for you, sir?
Hometown for me, I'm originally from a small town in West Virginia called Man, West Virginia, but right now I call home. I'm out of Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. That's what I call home right now.
And what would you like to say to the people back home?
God bless everyone back home. We appreciate all your support. I love my family. My wife, Petra, I love you. And my mother, Miss Sandy Johnson back in Princeton, West Virginia, I love you with all my heart.
Hey, good morning. How we doing? How we doing? It's a great morning. Radio Battalion, America's Radio Battalion runs this.
Oh, just check. Linda, okay, thanks. Sign up.
We just pray now that everything we do or say today would honor you. In your name we pray. Doctor! Okay.
This is the finish line right here.
38, 39, 34. You're run. 22, 22, 24, 22, 28, 22, 30. 30.
Foundation.
And selfless support. I also want to say thank you and express my sincere appreciation to our nation.
Established on 13 October 1775 by authorizing the procurement respect afforded to experience and seniority. Symbolically, the eldest sailor passes the piece of cake to the youngest sailor present. Commander Williams and BUCA Torres.
Of course, in the 1800s, the Navy would expand its role from one. They're supposed to know that stuff by heart. Of course, I was reminded this morning that I probably...
I represent the finest sailor of the Navy, and those who have gone before me to defend freedom.
We ask that the sacrifices paid and the thousands of others who came ashore with the Marines, fighting and help, continue to guide our hands. 36 years of faithful service. Amen.
MAGTF, and it's that one word that seems to confuse a lot of people out there. As you know, it's Marine Air Ground Task Force, and what it's comprised of is a very compact organization that can be put into the most expeditionary environment you can imagine, and they can operate. As well as it can come into a more stable and static environment like what we have here in Afghanistan, and can function just as well. The MAGTF can be, there's the standard measures of a MAGTF, the MEU, the MEB, and then the MEF. Our routes are amphibious, and so it was always designed to be on forward presence, a forward ready, on ship, ready to respond to anything. And now it's time, now as we face withdrawal, now as we face the presidential mandate to start sending people home, we're in a position for at least another 8 months to continue to keep the pressure on the insurgents, because they're running, they're on their heels, they're on their back, they're not functioning anywhere near the way they were in the earlier years, 2009, 2008. But as the withdrawal begins, we're going to move from a counterinsurgency mission to an advisor trainer mission. And then we will be in the background, we'll provide quick reaction forces for them, and we'll provide some enabler support, be it medevac, aviation, fires, or those kinds of things. But the Afghans will be doing the fighting, and we'll be doing the advising. We're still here in enough strength, enough numbers that if they should have challenges or problems, we're right there, we can back them up. So this is a period to sort of really finalize the security situations in all the districts and push all the Afghan security forces into the lead. We've modeled for the security leadership, for the Afghan security forces, I think we've modeled for them what it is to have authority but use it in a way that betters people. That modeling that we've done, I think, has been taken on by the Afghans. Because in the end, that's what we can do best, is, is just properly model, how a country with the military might that we have can still, in an area like Afghanistan, behave under strict rules, showing compassion for people, and when you don't have to apply firepower, even though you're taking risk, you don't. And that's what our Marines and sailors bring to this fight, is that compassion and those values that allow us to do the right thing.
I just want to ask you, in your words, what is a MAGTF?
MAGTF, and it's that one word that seems to confuse a lot of people out there, is exactly what it is. As you know, it's a Marine Air Ground Task Force, and what it's comprised of is a very compact organization that can be put into the most expeditionary environment you can imagine, and they can operate. As well as it can come into a more stable and static environment like what we have here in Afghanistan, and can function just as well. A MAGTF is a team, and I think that's an important concept to keep in mind. That team has been working together over a long period of time, and the whole integration of logistics, aviation, ground, is all those SOPs are sort of put together so that in the end the sum of the parts is greater than the whole. And it's just a well-greased organization. And it can flex, and it can do other things with what it has. It doesn't have to be re-resourced. It can change missions on a dime. So it's a very valuable organization. But some of the challenges with a MAGTF is that some folks look at it and go, well, it's too high price. It takes too many people in order to put a MAGTF together. And that may be true in the beginning, but of course, as I mentioned earlier, if you have the flexibility to change missions or remission or retask, they can do that without any needed resources, so they can do it faster. They can turn and spin much more quickly. So it requires a little bit of education. And of course, one of the beauties of the MAGTF is it has its own aviation. So it's got a built-in rapport with the guys in the air. And although we may not have a whole lot of extra firepower from the ground as far as artillery or ATACMs or those kinds of things, we have our aviation. And our aviation bring all kinds of incredible artillery to the battlefield. So obviously I'm a believer in the MAGTF, and I think that it's a very valuable unit organization. But it requires a little bit of explanation and education from time to time.
So let me ask you, because I want to back up to what you said there about how unique it is and how it's able to flex. Explain to me the difference between other branches of the service being able to respond like that and what a Marine MAGTF brings to the table, the uniqueness of service there.
Right. Well, for example, here in Afghanistan right now, as we're downsizing, it's very important that we demonstrate a withdrawal. The President said, hey, we're going to withdraw, so we're going to withdraw. So as we look at, who are we going to draw down on, there is a tendency to look at that MAGTF and say, well, gosh, that's a big organization. We can get rid of them, replace them with a couple of Army brigades, and we'll be able to draw down more steeply, and we won't lose too much. But the reality is that they will lose a lot by moving a MAGTF, a Marine Air Ground Task Force, out and withdrawing. And that in the Army, in order to have a brigade, that's fine, but then you have to resource it with everything, from logistics, aviation, supply, fire support. And so when you finally add that package together, it still may not be add up to the total number of a MAGTF, but it's an ad hoc organization. It's now been put together for that one mission, and then it can't be remission, it can't be retasked, one, and then two, it's just been put together, so they haven't been working closely. That team aspect is not there. So that's, of course, the value of the MAGTF. And our routes are amphibious, and so it was always designed to be on forward presence and forward ready, on ship, ready to respond to anything. And so in order to be able to respond to anything, you need to develop a MAGTF. But you know, it's shown great value and great versatility here in places like Afghanistan, where right now, as we speak, we're changing our missions from counterinsurgency to advisor training mission. And I think we're able to do that and flex because of the uniqueness of the MAGTF.
Now, you talked about flexibility, sir. Let me back up and get that. I mean, I've got almost 30 years of experience with this, so. But for the average Joe, are you afraid having the Marines in this kind of a contingency operation that we might lose our expeditionary edge?
Well, yeah. I mean, this environment here in Afghanistan has grown to a point where it's pretty stable, and a lot of our expeditionary capabilities, whether it be producing water, we could go anywhere and we could produce water. Here, we have bottled water. Regarding just chow and medical attention for our troops, we have a phenomenal Role 3 surgical care unit here that is just tremendous. But we need to test and keep our Role 2 and Role 1 facilities operational and practice. So, we send them out forward, even though we're in a pretty stable environment, and most of the time we're going to medevac our guys back to the Role 3s, but we're still giving them practice. So even though we're in a fairly stable FOB-like environment with our Marines forward, obviously in patrol bases, etc., but even then, they're still getting bottled water, they're still getting good chow delivered to them, and they're being provided the best possible medical care. So we're still trying to practice our expeditionary nature, despite the fact that we're in a relatively stable environment. And you got to, because we're going to go back to the sea, and that is where we belong. And so I think we're testing the equipment, we're testing the capabilities, and keeping it sharp.
So this is called this is a macro question. This is called a MEF forward.
Right.
And a normal MEF is set up with the wing and all of that. So, and you've explained already about how a MAGTF can flex down and flex up. Explain how 2 MEF forward has operated as a MAGTF.
Well, the MAGTF can be, there's the standard measures of a MAGTF, the MEU, the MEB, and then the MEF. But within that, there's a variety of other MAGTFs that are organized dependent upon the mission. We have special purpose MAGTFs that are at the very small end, who can go in and provide humanitarian relief or disaster relief and humanitarian aid in various places around the world. And then so we could develop a special purpose MAGTF that maybe has a heavy logistics flavor. Or we can put a special purpose MAGTF in some place. We could have done it, for example, in Libya, where maybe the emphasis was on aviation and aviation support. Here in Afghanistan, we built as a MEF forward, which is a extract from the Marine Expeditionary Force, but it's large. And to be honest, when a MEF forward is built and deployed, the parent MEF is really reduced significantly in its capabilities. It doesn't have the full complement, obviously, because I've taken 20,000 Marines from the MEF, really from throughout the Marine Corps to form the MEF forward. So 2 MEF is back in Camp Lejeune right now, and they're actually able to do operations and exercises. They're doing Bold Alligator, which is an amphibious exercise, and they're able to work through that. But the MEF forward here is still a pretty huge investment for the Marine Corps. And we are, according to the Commandant, and I see it every day, a top priority for him. So this organization, the MEF forward deployed in Afghanistan, is getting what it needs in order to get the job done, sometimes at the sacrifice of some of the MEFs that are back in the States. Yet, they're still able to meet mission. So
let me ask you this about, now that we've explored and explained what a MAGTF is, let me ask you about 2 MEF forward and their involvement with JAROA and counterinsurgency and the economic development of this region, the history of what this MEF has done in this region.
Well, we started the history of the Marine Corps' involvement here, starts back in 2001 when Task Force 58 first came into Kandahar and Rhino Airport and basically pushed the Taliban out of the Kandahar-Helmand region, pushed them out. It was very successful. And we came in with a very small footprint, probably less than 3,000 to 5,000 Marines were involved in that first investment. Then after that, we started getting involved in Afghanistan in a episodic way, to be honest. I mean, we brought in a battalion. 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines came in. The battalions from 3rd Marines came in, and they covered miles of area in Afghanistan. I mean, their command and control logistics was spread out from here to Kingdom Come. It was a high-risk operation, to be honest. And but they performed magnificently, and they were able to get out, particularly over in what we call RC East area now. They were able to get out, and they were able to meet the locals and build relationships with the districts that they were operating in over a vast area. You know, we've seen here in Helmand Province, we've had to deal with a lot of the British history and how they were spread out. But over time, that spread became a liability to them. And there was a realization under General McChrystal and others that, you know, we needed to invest more forces into Afghanistan because it was just, you couldn't protect the populations with the small force densities that we had at that time. We had to beef it up. So we did. And so in, 2009, late 2008, 2009, we brought in 2nd MEB, and we reinforced this Leatherneck Bastion complex. And then the Marines joined the British forces here in Helmand and Kandahar Province. Eventually, we split out and we became Regional Command Southwest, and it became the Marines Command when 1 MEF forward came in. And then that marriage was made between the U.S. and the UK forces, and then the other coalitions, Estonians, Danish, Georgians, etc. And so now we have the force density to be able to protect the populations, and over the past year and a half, we've sort of established a pretty secure foothold. And now it's time. Now as we face withdrawal, now as we face the presidential mandate to start sending people home, we're in a position for at least another 8 months to continue to keep the pressure on the insurgents, because they're running. They're on their heels. They're on their back. They're not functioning anywhere near the way they were in the earlier years, 2009, 2008. So this is a period to sort of really finalize the security situations in all the districts and push all the Afghan security forces into the lead. We're still here in enough strength, enough numbers that if they should have challenges or problems, we're right there, we can back them up. But as the withdrawal begins, we're going to move from a counterinsurgency mission to an advisor trainer mission. And then we will be in the background. We'll provide quick reaction forces for them, and we'll provide some enabler support, be it medevac, aviation, fires, or those kinds of things. But the Afghans will be doing the fighting, and we'll be doing the advising. And then over time, the advisors will eventually fade out, and it'll be totally an Afghan fight, or an Afghan situation, which I think they're very capable of handling.
Sir, one last question, if I may. What do your Marines, what do the people at home need to hear from their general on the ground here about the place in history that 2 MEF forwards got right now?
Yeah, I think when we look at the what's been accomplished here in Afghanistan, something to be very proud of. You know, it's interesting, but most Marines and sailors that operate and fight out here, I'm always impressed by their compassion, and they see people in situations where they've suffered totalitarian regimes, where, you know, they live in abject poverty, and that they're abused by people who, you know, have some authority. They're prey to corruption, corrupt officials, corrupt police, corrupt army. And what we've done is we've come in here, and first of all, we've modeled for the security leadership, for the Afghan security forces. I think we've modeled for them what it is to have authority, but use it in a way that betters people. And that modeling that we've done, I think, has been taken on by the Afghans. Because in the end, that's what we can do best, is, you know, is just properly model, you know, how a country with the military might that we have can still, in an area like Afghanistan, behave under strict rules, showing compassion for people, and, you know, when you don't have to apply firepower, even though you're taking risk, you don't. And that's what our Marines and sailors bring to this fight, is that is that compassion and those values that allow us to do the right thing. And so, you know, that I think is what's going to go down in history. And when Afghanistan is a vibrant, you know, it's never going to be the United States, but it has assets, starting with its people and some of the mineral resources and stuff. It has the capability to thrive as a vibrant nation. And you know, if you just got to go back in history, you can see that it has in the past. But it requires good leaders, and it requires a security apparatus that doesn't abuse its power, and that stays honest, and that respects the people of this country and treats them with a certain degree of compassion. So I think the history will be something that we'll be proud of.
The Commandant and Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps came and visited us, wished us happy belated birthday for Thanksgiving, just telling us we're doing a good job, and we just asked them some questions. That's it. I like how the Sergeant Major and the Commandant approached the questions. They did some humor, not just all seriousness, so that was good, and just told us that we're doing a good job and they appreciate it. It means a lot. I mean, I know they visit a lot of people, but I'm glad I got to come to this, and I'm sure everybody else does, and we're just appreciative. Definitely missing the family, wife, family, mother, father, just that stuff. I mean, there's stress of being out here, but you can also have stress at home, so you gotta work with your Marines about all that stuff. So far, working with the ANA, going on an attack helicopter, just like fun stuff like that. I like to talk with them. I know their language, so it's funny to talk to them, that we have stuff in common. And the team I'm working with, they're really smart, so it's really good. Say hi to my wife and my mom, everybody. I should be coming home soon, and everyone's doing a great job out here, so I'm not really worried about the future and stuff like that.
We gathered together, and Sergeant Major and the Commandant of the Marine Corps, they both talked to us and answered some questions. One, they weren't shying away from any of the questions. I really appreciate that and respect that. And also, they were very detailed in it, so we didn't see just what they wanted to, what I thought they would just tell us. They actually went into detail. The hardest part is, of course, being away from my family. Married, and she's back in Lejeune. So that's the hardest part, but it's good to know that they feel the same way, that they're coming to visit us, that they're taking time away from their family to come and let us know that they're with us, they're fighting with us, even where they're located at. The camaraderie, just being with my fellow Marines, just getting better at my job, learning every day, and just the experience in general. This is why I enlisted in the Marine Corps. This is why I became a Marine, so that I could deploy. Just definitely, it would be just the view off of the Kajaki Dam. It's just beautiful out there, and I wasn't expecting this country to be as beautiful as it has been from all the sites that I've been to. So that was it. And we're all good out here. We're having fun. We miss everybody, and we're here for a reason and for a job, and we're doing it. So thank you for everything.
So happy birthday to every single one. I'll tell you what, it's 236 years of a great warfighting tradition for our country. And when we stood up and talked to members of Congress, both in the Senate and the House side, General Dunford talked to the House, I talked to the Senate, and I will tell you, our credibility is strong. What you do and what you've done here, and then what all those Marines that have gone before you, everybody has a sense for it. It doesn't matter whether a member of Congress has been in the military or not. They know about the United States Marines. You know, there's a couple of times a year that are particularly meaningful, and just you know, Christmas and Thanksgiving are it. I mean, those are the two that kind of get to me and grip my heart and my family's heart. But I'll tell you, just the sheer name of Thanksgiving, the whole concept of giving thanks, is pretty meaningful. So you're here. Everyone is a volunteer. But I'll tell you, the other thing is that you're away from your families. So thanks for being Marines. Thanks for serving your country. Thanks for being willing to be out here. And every time I come out, we were just out here in September. I may have talked to some of you, Sergeant Major and I may have in September. But we're not going to repeat ourselves. But I will tell you, the one thing I will tell you is thank you. Thank you for serving your nation. Thank you for being willing to step forward and be a part of this great organization. And you are making a difference.
I'm going to start off by saying I am absolutely privileged to be here tonight amongst you. I'm privileged to be wearing the same exact uniform as you, and I am absolutely so humbled and privileged that I get to serve you. And the Commandant and I know feel the same exact way when we say there's no other place we'd rather be than right here, standing with you, kicking around the same exact dirt. I know what it means to be here. I lived here for 13 months, and I wish I could come back, because this place to me is less dangerous than D.C. I promise you. And the Commandant wasn't kidding when he was telling you that we're engaged and we're fighting every single day for what you represent. And it's humbling and it's a privilege to stand shoulder to shoulder with the Commandant and taking on those challenges that are in front of us. Commandant, I try to put it, I give it to him in grunt speak. I said, if they're any better, they'd be twins. And I say, they're either shaking hands or they're throwing hand grenades. That's how they're doing. There are some people who don't quite get that my kind of humor. So I kind of break it down for them and I tell them, I says, you know what they're doing? They're out there protecting the people. They're out there developing the Afghan National Security Forces. They're out there helping the government of Afghanistan to expand and grow. And they're eviscerating that element of hatred that was recruited, resourced, and trained in a place that was once a safe haven, Helmand. I go, it's no longer a safe haven. They're doing magnificently. Stay focused. There's still a good fight going on here. And you need to take this thing all the way to the end. I want you to also know that there are no two people that care more and fight harder for you Marines, our sailors, our families, our wounded warrior, our wounded warriors' fallen families, and our fallen families than the Commandant and Mrs. Amos. I'm telling you right now. It doesn't matter what the issue is. They are fighting hard every single day for you all.
Past 7 years to re-enlist further than the 10 years that's never been looked at for promotion in order to do a B building.
Okay, great question. How many sergeants we got?
I've always been a military threat. I mean, we, you know, as a nation, we pay very close attention to them. You know, they're kind of a spoiler. You know, they.
There was no enlisted representation on the Defense Business Board or anything else like that. Has there been anything circulated amongst the senior enlisted?
System. I mean, I'm Sergeant Major, and I could. By the way, we sang in front of. Come on up, just so that you get a sense for those of you that got questions. And if it does, then it's going to have to go to either Albany or Georgia. I mean, Albany or Barstow. And
as far north as you can and all points in between, and up on the Capitol Hill and the NCR, I'm asked every single
General Dunsford talked to the House, I talked to the Senate, and I will tell you, our credibility is strong. What you do, and what
around the National Capital Region, and I have met with.
Because then what happens is, then it comes in by 48 hours, and then Congress gets an opportunity to vote on it. That hasn't happened yet. So today's not the 23rd, but it's looking really grim. And if we go, and that's how we're going to save as a nation $1.2 trillion. The Department of Defense has already given $450 billion plus on top of the other stuff we've been.
To the budget cuts. Now, we know that it was reinstated for next year. How's tuition assistance going to look for the years following that?
We don't know yet. It's happening around the world. All you got to do is just look at the paper and you see all the hotspots. Third Major and I use this. We got a slide.
In the Marine Corps, the training you attended will give you certain accreditation. So that's something that you can just go down to your education office on any base and actually find out what you need.
Serious, I didn't do very good, did I?
My question, sir, is in reference to the new service limitation for sergeants. I want to know if there's going to be any revision to it to allow sergeants past 7 years to re-enlist further than the 10 years that's never been looked at for promotion in order to do a B building.
Yeah, great question. How many? And happy Thanksgiving. You know, there's a couple of times a year that are particularly meaningful, and just you know, Christmas and Thanksgiving are it. I mean, those are the two that kind of get to me and grip my heart. And
I'm going to start off by saying I am absolutely privileged to be here tonight amongst you. I'm privileged to be wearing the same exact uniform as you, and I am absolutely so humbled and privileged that I get to serve you. And the Commandant and I know feel the same exact way. And we say there's no other place we'd rather be than right here, standing with you, kicking around the same exact dirt. I know what it means to be here. I lived here for 13 months, and I wish I could come back, because this place to me is less dangerous than D.C. I promise you.
Thanks for serving your nation. Hoorah!